Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Wednesday and it's a wet old day. I left home and it was okay. It wasn't raining. It was just a typical cool autumn morning. And I get down to the city here and it's been sprinkling, it's been raining, and it looks like it may be an overcast and wet day all day. But not to worry, we'll do our best and see through this day and see where it leads us, what we can learn, and what we can embrace and take with us along the path till the next day. So I'd like to kick off this Wednesday morning, with another book summary. And the book summary that I've got for today is entitled, a very interesting title to a book. It's entitled The Why Cafe by John Strelecky. John Strelecky found this interesting book title to base his experiences on and talk to us a little bit more about our purpose in life and I guess it's a call to action to ask more why questions in order to discover our purpose and to, gain more and achieve more in life. In a couple of nights' time, on Friday night, Vivid Sydney kicks off, and it'll go for a few weeks. And given that we've had 2 years of pandemic, 2 years of lockdowns, and people not being able to enjoy a normal life, it promises to be an excellent exhibition of light, of sound, and Sydney will no doubt come alive again, and people will be out and about with their families every night. And I'm sure there'll be traffic chaos, and people will be wondering what the hell has happened again. But we'll kick off now and we'll talk a little bit about this book summary. So the author John Strelecky says that results come from constantly applying what you know, not just knowing. I worked with a very clever fellow many years ago, John who back then was one of my managers, and he told me something which was quite bold and quite profound. And he said, James, it doesn't matter how much knowledge one accumulates, how many books one has, one reads, how many experiences one accumulates in their life. At the end of the day, the only way we're going to add value, the only way we're going to make a difference is by applying that knowledge. Applied knowledge is what made civilizations great, and applied knowledge is what's left over for us to wonder and see and admire. If it wasn't for applied knowledge, we'd have no pyramids. If it was not for applied knowledge, we'd have no Acropolis. We'd have no theatre, no drama. It's all about applying what we learn that makes a difference. And this is the theme from this author of this book, The Why Cafe. It's all about taking what you've learnt. It's all about taking the slithers of reality that you have and applying them and testing them and experimenting with them to enable us to leverage that knowledge, to grow that knowledge, and to pass that knowledge on to others. So some of the big and bold questions that we all face and that has faced mankind from the days of Adam and Eve is the big why question. Why are you here? Do you fear death? And are you fulfilled? They're the sorts of questions that we need to ask ourselves on a regular basis in order to make sure and to give us a reality check so that we are honing our purpose. We are understanding a little bit better what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're interfacing, and what the purpose of that interfacing is, so that we're all giving each other hope and receiving hope from others, and ensuring that by the end of our lives, by the end of our allocated lifetime, we've got a good account of who we are and what we've done, and it hasn't just been a waste on bags, a waste on shoes, a waste on good times, but we've been able to identify and to deliver a purpose that will transcend our existence and be a legacy for others to measure us by, and for people to know a little bit more about who we were through what we did, as opposed to who we were through what we said. It's all about action, it's all about activity, it's all about implementation, it's all about putting the rubber on the road, as opposed to putting the words into the Ethernet and just being a hot air generator. So the author wrote this book because one morning he woke up with the realization that he wasn't living his purpose and he didn't really have a meaningful life, because we all are called to action, to live our purpose, to embrace and express our calling. And it's only when you come to that realization, when you have that wake-up call, and sometimes that wake-up call comes to you as a bolt of lightning from the dark. It comes to you from a near-death experience, or when somebody else in your life, a loved one, passes away. But at some point in time, at some stage of your life, and it usually is, once you hit your 30s, where your brain has fully matured and you've gone into that second stage of your life. I remember my dear Uncle George, my dear late Uncle George, who was such a wise man, well-read, with lots of experiences, both good, bad and average, just like all of us. Once told me, he says, James, there are two ages in life. There are those people who are under 30, and there are those people who are over 30. And basically, all people, he said, who are 30 or more are the same age, which I found quite profound back then, thinking that, in my early 30s, I was, different to a person who was in his 50s or 60s. But he made it clear to me back then that once you hit 30 plus, you're basically the same age as everybody else, and you're measured using the same measurements. So the first formal point to come from this author, from this book, is where he says that we mustn't fall into the trap of materialism set by advertisers, because as humans we are visual creatures and very, very easily manipulated by bling and fantasy. And we are bombarded these days with a lot more information, with a lot more stimulus and stimuli than what our previous generations ever were. So much so that in just 1 week, I read the other day, in just 1 week, we get more information coming into our brains, into our minds, into our lives than what our previous generation, our grandfather and great-grandfather's generation, had in their entire lifetimes. So we are subjected to manipulation, to fantasy, to game playing, and we need to understand it, we need to appreciate it, and to know that it's happening all around us. Because advertisers continually try to convince us that our unhappiness lies in more things. We're on this hedonistic treadmill, never being satisfied, as we need more and more. And the more you get, the more you want, the more you need, which causes suffering. So advertisers will continually call us to action, to buy, to do, and to try and get us spending more money, searching for happiness, searching for meaning, searching for purpose, through consumerism, as opposed to finding purpose through contemplation and through serving God and serving each other. So we need to adopt a more minimalist lifestyle, is the call to action from this author, if we are going to be satisfied with our lives and find the meaning of our purpose. So the call to action is to do less, to experience less, and to think and I guess be more by doing less, but doing more of the right things, rather than just doing things to tick the box, to post on Facebook and to share with your social internet community. Because a famous author once voiced that people spend money that they don't have on things that they don't want or need in order to impress the many people that they don't like. So you don't want to get caught up into that trap. You don't want to get sucked into that lifestyle, because it's a pathway to destruction. It's a pathway to comparison. It's a pathway that will lead you to an emptiness that can never ever be filled, and a lifetime of regret and disappointment for not only yourself, but also for those around you that you suck into the vortex that you're trapped in. So we need to adopt a more minimalist lifestyle and to focus on purposeful endeavours rather than things. So purposeful endeavours is a real powerful message, because from a Christian perspective, the purposeful endeavours that we're called to leverage and to achieve are to serve God, are to glorify God, to do things which are God-pleasing, and to also love our neighbours, love one another as we love ourselves. But it's important to understand this, that in order to love somebody else, you first need to love God, and you first need to appreciate and love yourself. If you're self-loathing, if you hate yourself, then you're not going to be very good at being generous and loving other people. So there's an important message there that we need a certain level of self-appreciation, of self-gratitude, and to be looking at offering to others the sort of things that we'd want for ourselves. without, of course, being greedy and self-centered. So if you're not if you're not at home all the time, what's the use, the author says, of having a condo with a magnificent view? What's the use of having half a dozen sports cars and half a dozen watches if all you can do is use one at a time? So things to consider. So the second major point to come from this text is where the author goes on to say that finding your purpose is your most intimate experience, so don't let anyone ruin it for you. As we said, each and every one of us have our own unique calling and our own unique purpose and contribution that we can make to the world. There's no use living a life that your parents want you to live. There's no use living a life that your siblings want you to live, or your boss wants you to live, or even your partner wants you to live. The first and most important thing is that each of us have a unique lifetime, as we said before, and we need to maximize what we do with that time, and to do and to achieve and to express our particular calling. So through life, through our own particular individual life, we will get to enjoy electrifying experiences that only we can understand and identify with. It gives us a sense of satisfaction which can't be explained. The things that create enjoyment in me, those simple things that create enjoyment in me may not be the same things that create enjoyment in you or your partner or your children. And we need to understand that. We need to be able to step back and understand that we're all wired differently for each other and from each other. There's nothing wrong with me chasing or trying to experience my path in life, which is different to yours, as long as what I do does not conflict dramatically with yours, and what I do supplements and complements yours, is the ultimate sort of goal. So people and relationships are far more important than things, because it's people and these relationships that we share and enjoy are what makes us feel alive and do more for it and gain more from it. So being connected, according to this author, according to this book, is probably one of the most important things that we can do, and that's what we're designed to do, and hence why God decided to create Eve from a biblical sense to be a partner of Adam. It's important to note that God did not create Steve to be a partner of Adam, but he created Eve so that they can cleave together, become one, and to express and glorify God, and to satisfy and enjoy life, creating purpose and meaning for each other, with each other. So there in itself is one of the simple meanings of one's life. So the third important point to come from this text is that we all need to live according to our own definition of happiness. We all need to define it. We all need to identify it, to seek it and to source it, and to continue to source it, and where possible share it with our friends, our families, and everybody that we come into contact and get to touch in our lives. And by defining what happiness is for ourselves will ensure and will make the universe work even harder to create those moments for us. So your own happiness formula, and we need to follow that formula. So each of us are on a mission. Each of us are looking to find what our happiness is. And as the author says, it's different for each and every one of us, but there is a common element and there's a common thread that unites our happiness for each other and with each other. And of course, the ultimate happiness is to live and glorify and serve God and love our neighbours and serve each other and to love ourselves as well and to do the things which are God-pleasing. It's a simple message, but we all need to find our path. We all need to find our calling in order to contribute to that formula with the ingredients that we have, with the gifts that God has provided us, each and every one of us. So, according to this author, life will manifest for you, and money can't bring you happiness, but happiness is something that is unique to each person, and we are called to try and find what will make us happy, knowing, of course, it doesn't come through things, but it comes through relationships, it comes through working, it comes through serving and doing God's work and being a partner in God's humanity and God's service to mankind. So to have a service mentality, to wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what can I do today? What can I do right now to be of service to God, to glorify God, and to be somebody who adds value to this day, not only to myself and my family, but to all of those around me. So thank you very much for joining me on this Wednesday morning episode of Jim's 5am Club, which we covered a very, very deep topic and took a visit to the Y Cafe. And I guess I love these sorts of vlogs. I know they're very esoteric and a little bit difficult and I guess controversial to a certain point, because a lot of people have moved away from God, have moved away from the service of God, and have been encouraged through the advertisers and the media to focus on themselves. But as you get older, you realise that life isn't about ourselves, but it's about us fitting in to the puzzle and contributing to those around us who in some ways are less fortunate, but in terms of being interrelated as opposed to independent or dependent, to become interdependent, knowing that we can offer others things and they can offer us things back to make life more interesting and better for all of us. Anyway, take care. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. We've just got the morning light coming through. Circular Quay starting to get a little bit more busy. The rain looks like it's here to stay, so I may get rained off work today. So we'll see how we go. The horizon is overcast, but it looks like the sun may try and break through that cloud. We'll see who wins today. Will it be the sun? Will it be the cloud? Will it be the rain? But at the end of the day, we're all winners because we're all seeking purpose. We're all trying to fulfill and live our own lives and to enjoy the gifts of creation. Take care, everybody. Yassas. Bye for now. And I'll come to you again from a different location with a different message of empowerment, where we get to showcase and highlight the beauty of this city around us, this country that we live in, and to vicariously enjoy each other's company, and to see if there is something that we can incorporate into our days, into our lifestyles that can help us live a better and a more productive life. Yassas, take care, and bye for now.